Yes or no?
Yes.
We live in a world full of very complex problems and unprecedented opportunity for social change. It can all be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, though, making it easier to say no rather than yes to new ideas. Say no and you're done. It's not your problem anymore. Yes is risky. You might actually have to do something or put yourself out there. This presentation was inspired by a simple word and the amazing and unexpected impact that it has had for us. Where does yes come from? This is me in 1985 when I was your age. My journey as a change maker started when I spoke my mind a few too many times at the private girls' school I was attending. I was charged with inciting rebellion in my peers. This is true, and I was asked to leave the school. I was. By the time I was in university, though, my bad attitude had matured into an interest in political activism. I started learning about feminism and leading student women's groups. Following my university graduation, I decided to pursue my childhood career goal of becoming a fashion designer. So I applied to fashion design school. They said no. They said no. And it was an amazing lesson to me. I was devastated until I realized that their no, in this case, was actually an illusion, and that the people who said it had no actual real power to tell me what I could or could not do or be in the world. I said yes to myself and started my own fashion design business anyways. Now, that was great, and it probably would have gone on, who knows. Were it not for an odd and kind of personal twist of fate, I developed an allergy to tampons, of all things. Don't ask me why, it just happened. And to tell you the truth, I'd never really thought about periods and cycles and all that stuff much before. It just happened, it's just part of life, as most of us in this room know. No big deal, whatever. Having to make a change, though, actually made me pay attention and take another look. And in there somewhere, I heard a tiny little yes. I became intrigued by the idea of developing alternatives to disposable pads and tampons, to use my sewing and design skills to create something that not only worked for me, but that was moreover beautiful, different, kind of provocative, and even fun. One yes led to another, and soon my entire consciousness started to change. For the first time in my life, I became aware that there was a very real and meaningful connection between what was happening inside my body every month and what was going on with the larger cycles in nature, including the ebb and flow of the tides, the changing of the seasons, and of course, the cycles of the moon. Deeply inspired, I said yes to devoting myself full-time to developing the products and marketing and sharing them with other women.
So my childhood was different from Madeleine's. My parents are immigrants, and for them, coming to Canada meant saying yes to a better life and greater opportunities for raising a family. I was raised with very traditional, strict Chinese values. And so in our house, this is what yes looked like. Yes said, you will stay home and study. No partying going on, academics were important. And like Adam, I played saxophone in the jazz band, but that was frowned upon because that took away from my studies. Yes meant following the rules. No wasn't really an option. And while I didn't rebel like Madeleine, I did find myself thinking that I said yes a lot to please my parents. And so like any dutiful Asian student would do, you graduate from high school and you go to university and you choose a professional career because that's what's expected of me. So I did. I went to UBC, I went to business school, and I became a chartered accountant. And I had a fantastic career. rose through the ranks, climbed the corporate ladder, did really well, ambitious, smart, and I worked really hard. But that had a toll on me. I worked so hard, my internal system kind of broke down. I got a virus. And at the hospital, they told me I had encephalitis. It was the most frightening time of my life. And my family wasn't even sure I was going to make it. And in the 6 months it took for me to heal, I thought a lot about my life, and I said to myself, I need to find a new definition of yes, one that speaks to me, one that's not dictated by the values that were instilled while I was growing up in terms of my expectations by my family, but what I felt passionate about. But at that time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I took a chance anyway. I left my 6-figure job, my corner office, and just went out on my own. And then I met Madeleine, and she invited me to join her with Lunapads, and together we built the business to where it is today.
I love that picture. Okay, so in a lot of ways, Lunapads is a business like any other. We make things and we sell them to people. Underlying that, however, is a very, very serious and committed social change agenda and message. And that message is about respect and dignity and freedom from shame around our bodies and how they work. What we did not expect in all of this was the impact that our products and our message might have for girls in the developing world. Now, any teenage girls in the room, can you please raise your hands? If you're a teenage girl, here we go. I know it's dark in here, but could everybody just take a look around for a second and just acknowledge, here we are, your friends, your peers, your sisters in the room. Great, thank you. Now picture this. If we were in the developing world, a quarter of you would not attend school ever in your lives. You might not even learn how to write your own name. And half of you would be married and pregnant by the time you were 15. Think about that. Now, we talked about pads and tampons a minute ago. The reality for girls like these is that there's no Shoppers Drug Mart, there's no Walmart, there's no OB, there's no just going to the drugstore and getting what you need. The reality for them is that they don't, in most cases, have anything. So what do? Every month, instead of going to school, they stay home for several days. They're missing school. Those days add up, they fall behind, and they drop out. There are 600 million girls in the developing world. Educating them matters a lot. Educated girls will get married later, they will have fewer children, they will be healthier overall. They'll get jobs. They might even start businesses. And they will reinvest more of that income into their families. This is being called the girl effect. But it is not just about girls. When you empower and you educate a girl, you lift up everyone around her. You lift up families, and you lift up entire communities. We wondered, what if we said yes to doing what we could to help them? We created simplified, low-cost versions of our products that we made into kits. We started sending them to organizations working with girls all around the world.
And so now I'm going to tell you a story of yes that is having a ripple effect on the other side of the world. 4 years ago, a young woman named Carrie Jane came to our office, and she told us she was traveling to Uganda as part of a development project that she was doing with UBC. And she asked us if she could bring some pad kits with her. And of course, we said yes. So here goes the pads on the other side of the world over to Uganda. And on her very last day of her trip, she was sitting in an internet cafe and she met this young couple from the University of McGill. They were just finishing up their development project and they wanted to do something more. They didn't want to come back to North America yet. And she showed them Lunapads and explained what the effect was, and they were blown away. Very excited, they took her last kit and emailed us and said, "Dear Madeleine and Suzanne, we have a favor. Can we copy your pads, your patterns, your design, your business model? We want to make these in Uganda." And we talked about it. Guess what we said? Yes. We also said, screw the lawyers and all the advisors that said we need to have some kind of technical legal agreement for trademarks and intellectual property. We believed in them and we trusted them. And I just want to pause to acknowledge Paul in this photo. He's an example of the many men that we work with that are huge advocates for girls and women. And I say this because I'm guessing there's probably some guys in the audience who are kind of thinking, you know, this story's not for me. I'm not a girl. I don't get periods. But boys and men absolutely need to be part of the conversation to creating social change in the world. And we have so many examples of even boys who have gone out to the villages and looked for girls who are missing school and invited them to participate in these programs. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing this for about 4 years now. And we realized a few months ago, we have to go to Africa and see what's going on the ground. Let's go visit AfriPads. Let's go to Uganda. And this is what we saw. 50 women at the end of a rural dirt road cutting and sewing the pads that Madeleine designed almost 20 years ago. I saw her break down in tears when she saw them sewing. And I'll show you an example of one of the women. This is Judith. Check out the smile on her face. She now has an income as the supervisor at AfriPads, and she has income to support her daughter with childcare. She's supporting her parents, and she's paying for school fees for her brother and sister. She's just one of the 50 women that we met. And these aren't even women, they're girls, 18 to 25 years old, not much older than a lot of you. They all have babies, but they told us their stories of how their lives have been transformed, their communities have been uplifted. This is what development looks like. And they also told us how much gratitude they had for Madeleine and I. Why? Just because we said yes.
Yes is big. It's bigger than no, isn't it? I mean, it's a longer word and seems to take you further. Yes is over 100,000 girls that are going to receive kits this year alone. We've gone from an idea and a little word to over 100,000. I want you to meet just one of those girls. This is Saba. She's Ethiopian. She's 16 years old, and she's holding one of those kits we told you about. I'm going to read with you. When I was 8 years old, my parents tried to force me to get married, but in the end, they understood and allowed me to reject him and continue my education. This is just one. Our trip to Uganda reaffirmed for us the amazing power that yes can have. But it also reaffirmed for us some of the things that we already knew. That business can be an amazing force for social change. And also, that if you really want to create change, you kind of need to do something different. If it's just the same, things stay the same. So don't be afraid to try that new idea, because it might be just what's needed.
So remember when I quit my job and I needed to find a new definition of yes, and I didn't know what it looked like? Well, here's what it looks like for us now. Yes is about taking chances when you don't know what's going to happen next. Yes is about trusting and believing in the people that you want to work with. Yes can be kind of crazy, but yes creates opportunities that you hadn't even imagined, and yes becomes innovative. So now it's your turn. What will your version of yes look like? Will it be a bold word that easily rolls off your tongue? Or will it be a word that you need to kind of figure out and it evolves over time as you figure out your passion? It could be either, and they're both valid. So we invite you to take the inspiration and the knowledge that you gained today and think about the change that you can create in the world, whether it's just in your local community or in the global community, to shine a light for someone else. We suggest you be bold, be creative, and embrace the power of yes.